everybody. Welcome to episode 18, LGBTQIA Workplace Inclusion. It's a mouthful, but I promise you're going to learn a lot today. I have a very, very special guest with us, Shannon Whittington. Now, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now, but I'm not an expert, and I finally found the expert in this industry. Shannon owns a consulting company, and she can help you provide a better environment and a better workplace for individuals in the queer community. And I'm super, super excited that we met and super excited to have her on the show. So welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Of course. So why don't I just kind of let you run with it. Teach for everybody watching, teach people what are some things that you can do to maybe be more safe, be more inclusive, be more productive, or maybe create a better environment for people cohesively working together?
And, I think that's a really important question because a lot of times organizations don't really think about this. But if you think about this, there's over 9 million LGBTQ plus people in the United States. Okay. Roughly the size of New Jersey. We're talking about maybe 1.6 million or so being transgender, which basically means that we are everywhere. We're in your organization, we're in your communities, we're on your playgrounds, and yes, we are in your places of worship. We're everywhere. So for us to feel a part of your organization, it's very important for us to feel safe. It's very important for us to feel affirmed. And how do we do that? I've been with my wife for 21 years, and I've worked in organizations where I wasn't out and didn't feel so hot. I only stayed there 2 years and I left. And then I've worked in organizations where I have been out, and that just feels so much more freeing for me. To be able to be the best expression of myself, which is all we want anyway. It's not like this population is asking for any special treatment or anything like that. No, we just want to be able to express ourselves the way we choose to and be allowed to be a part of any organization without any type of stigma, discrimination. So there's a lot of steps that are involved in trying to create inclusive environments. And it's been great to talk about this all over the country because you know what, Crystal, I think that some organizations don't really know that they don't know until they get in trouble with something. And that's when my phone rings. They either did something they shouldn't have done, or they should have done something and they didn't do it. So I think that's a really important topic for us to talk about today.
Now, I was born and raised in a really small cow town, very rural community. The entire county had less than 5,000 people in it. I was positive I was the only gay kid. There definitely, we lack a sense of belonging. And like you said, I didn't want special treatment. I just wanted to not be ridiculed and beat up and bullied. I'd been fired from jobs. I'd been passed up on promotions. I have been told some pretty awful things by management. And I know there's a lot of people out there that's in this. So kind of keep explaining to the viewers what more of what they can do and more of what they can kind of watch out for, and maybe how can you handle that within your organization to say, hey, we accept everyone here. So just kind of keep sharing this knowledge.
Well, it really starts in the HR department. Because that's where you go in when you go to apply for a job, and I always tell organizations when I'm training them that you can't just hang out a shingle, right? You can't just hang out a chevron flag and expect everything to be hunky-dory and now you're gay friendly, because that'll bite you in the butt for sure, because inevitably someone will come into your organization and say, oh, you got the pride flag. Wow, it's so great to see that you all are inclusive. And the secretary goes, oh, well, yeah, they hung that up here last week. I don't know what that was for. So that can really bite you, right? So if you're going to say that you are inclusive of this population, LGBTQ plus population, then you got to kind of start in your HR department training around this, cultural sensitivity training, affirmation training, putting affirming imagery in your organization, your intake forms. Okay, that's a big one. Most organizations' intake forms are very binary, right? That's all they have is male or female. A lot of EMRs are binary, or electronic medical record systems. So that's some of the things that you've really got to talk about and figure out ways that you can make those changes. Some other things that you can do in your organization is to collect SOGI data, sexual orientation, gender identity data. Now, a lot of Fortune 500 companies do this, and many organizations think, oh, we can't ask, that's too personal. But actually, you can ask. People don't always decline to answer. But if you do ask, you can get a pulse of what's in your organization. And guess what? We're there. Okay? You may not know it, but we are there. And the question is, do we feel comfortable enough to come out and let you know that we're there? If you identify some people within your organization that are a part of this population, you can identify cheerleaders, all right? Champions that can help you move the message forward. And this involves a cultural shift, right? It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have people who are resistant. You're going to have people who don't agree with it. And I always say, you can't really legislate people's hearts, but you can provide them with the information. And I say to people, I'm not trying to convert any of you, but I am here to alert all of you. And the alert is, we're not going away. Okay, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to be a part of your organization. Forbes says that organizations who have a diverse workforce make better decisions 87% of the time. Now, better decisions equals better outcomes. I don't know about you, but Crystal, wouldn't you like to make better decisions 87% of the time? I know I would.
And I think I think this is such a hot topic because it's an election year. It's always in a political climate, but people are talking about this more. A lot of people are new to the idea of, well, biologically we may think that there's two sexes, but people may identify differently. So more and more people are coming out. People are learning more about these things. And we're definitely not saying that you're not an ally or we're not appreciative of allies. But the climate right now is a little more sensitive, and people care more. Younger generations, they do care. They want to know that you care. They want to know that you're supportive. They want to know that they can fit in. So really, there's a lot of benefits to a community, I think, politically, right? And the way that people look at you. So what advice do you have to a lot of small business owners? Maybe we don't have an HR department. Maybe I'm a solopreneur and I have a couple people that work underneath me. What do I need to do that's special, or how do I address that if I don't have this big organization?
Well, but you still have the person that's hiring. What's Kitty? So cute.
She's a tech cat. Every time I have a meeting, she gets immediately jealous.
What's her name?
Her name is Jordana.
Hi, Jordana. She's so adorable. If it's a small organization, you still have someone that's doing the interviewing and the hiring. You still have your intake forms. So it's not that much different than a big organization. You still have to be sensitive to this population. I work with a lot of transgender individuals, and they will tell me that, Shannon, I did great on the phone interview. Like, this is pre-COVID, right? Before
Sure.
Zoom, everything. But I did great on the phone interview. I made it to the whatever round. And then when I went in, I knew immediately I wasn't going to get the job. First of all, I only had 2 check marks, binary check marks, male or female. And the person in the HR, I could tell, was very uncomfortable talking to me and didn't really know how to address me. So there's so much information out on the web today. I was listening to a talk today and said, I can't think of it exactly, but something like ignorance is a choice now with everything that's available on the internet. And so there really is no excuse It's not that hard. You just have to want to know, and you have to want to do better.
I think that's the thing is you can't fill a cup that's already full. So there's going to be individuals out there. They may not understand it. They may not want to understand it. We're not doing the show to attack you or to legislate how you feel about that. We want to make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do understand what you're saying. If you do want to learn, I actually have a friend who's a small business owner. She has a decent sized team, and her husband recently messaged me and said, "Hey, can you explain what this means and what that means and like they were asking quality questions they wanted to understand." I was at my hairdresser's one day and they said, "Is the cue for questioning like so if we ever thought this in college, does that mean we're part of this community?" So people are asking more, people are accepting more, people are learning more, and I think that's important. Um,
I do too. I mean, I like that people are asking more. I speak all over the country, right, about LGBT inclusion in the workplace. And invariably, like, because I also speak about servant-based leadership, right, which is about adding value to others and kindness and helping and that kind of thing. And whenever I'm at a conference and I'm looking at the curriculum, so to speak, or the lineup of speakers and what the topic is, this topic that we're talking about right now is almost always overlooked. It's not mentioned at all. But when I am asked to speak on this, first of all, a lot of people come, right, which tells me there's interest. And then the next thing is I have a group of people waiting to talk to me afterwards. And they're like, "Oh my God, I just realized my company knows nothing about this. Can you come and talk to us? Oh my goodness, I didn't realize it, but we haven't addressed this." So it's kind of like that you don't know what you don't know kind of thing.
they haven't had this hasn't been something that we've had to address because so many people in the queer community kind of had to live under the radar and
Mm-hmm.
very quietly. And as the rights grow, the amount of people that are open and outgrow. And I think too, at least what I see, there's generational gaps. Right?
Oh yeah.
Different group. I'm right on the cusp of like an X and millennial.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of millennials have tattoos and visible piercings, and people don't we don't look uniform anymore. We don't
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people are creating their own molds and people are kind of doing their own thing. And I think that human beings are getting less and less commercialized, where we're not fitting into boxes and we're not doing everything the same way. So I think part of what you're saying is understand that and respect that, and maybe look beyond just the surface of what you're seeing when you're creating your policies. Is that kind of
Yeah, I would definitely say that's important to think about. I have a funny story I have to tell you, Crystal. So I flew down to Florida. Now I'm originally from Tennessee, if you hear my country accent, right?
a little bit?
A little bit. So I flew down to Florida last March to get certified as a speaker. Okay. And it was huge, like the John Maxwell certification process, huge hours and hours of studying and classes and reading, and thousands of people there to get certified. So every meal time you go to this huge room, there's all these people and these big tables. And so I made it a point to go to a different table at every meal to meet as many different people as possible. One day I go, it's lunchtime, and I go and I put my tray down just randomly. I wasn't even looking at who was at the table. So to my left, after introductions, I find out is a PhD director of nursing on this side. And she looks like she's probably like 50s. I have another woman here in her 40s, some profession that she's in, and her millennial daughter. And so it always gets to the question of, what do you do? All right. So I talk about what I do. And the woman here says to me, "Are you a transgender?" And I was like, "A transgender? That's kind of odd." And I said, "No, but I am gay, you know." And the woman here said, "Oh, I knew that as soon as you sat down." And she goes, "Yeah, me too." And the young daughter goes, "Mom, like, How could you say such a thing? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, okay, I got my hair down, I got my makeup on, I'm thinking I'm looking all cute, you know? And I'm like, well, how does gay look? I wonder. What am I doing that looks gay? I'm confused. So then I thought, oh, is it because of what I'm wearing? To myself, I'm thinking this because I have on a suit, I have on a tie, I have on, dress shirt and everything. And so I said, oh, is that because of how I'm dressed? She goes, of course it is. And the mom here goes, yeah. And the millennial goes, Mom, like she was horrified that she could say such a thing. And I couldn't believe I was having this conversation. I was like, well, straight people wear ties and suits and everything. And so afterwards, I had to go to another meeting and I was walking down the hall, like with thousands of people. And I could swear, Crystal, that people were staring at me. Like I even contemplated going back up to my room and changing. Okay. That's how uncomfortable I
Because people don't, when people break those molds of traditionally what we think, a lot of times people, I haven't seen that before and I'm trying to figure it out. Like a kid, for the first time when they see like a dog or a dog sees a kitten for the first time, it's, oh.
Yes.
So I'll
Yes.
assume it's a negative thing, but I think people are slowly conditioning themselves to go, well, that's a person and that's a person and that's a person and we're all unique.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope that they're thinking everyone is unique. I was feeling very self-conscious.
That you just went about your day and.
Well, I contemplated going up to change. I have to be really honest. And I feel like I'm a confident person, but that did cross my mind, to be honest. And then I said, you know what? I'm not changing my clothes. I'm not. And so the next meal came. I go to another table and I go to sit my tray down. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? And before I can even sit down, this older white guy says, oh, that sure is a snazzy suit you're wearing there. And then the lady here, she looks like she's 65. She goes, oh, my daughter wears ties. I love it. And all I could think was, boy, you should have been here at lunch.
It's a redeeming, there's for every person that just makes me cringe and says awful things, there's several more people that completely redeem that behavior, for sure.
Yes, I felt redeemed at that moment.
The big lesson here, especially in the workplace, whether you're doing the hiring or you're working with someone new, you're going to be the best version of yourself if you are your authentic self. So people aren't going to come in and say, stop being straight or stop being blonde or stop being short or, stop having an accent. Don't suppress people in the queer community. Let them be their authentic selves. Let them give you the best version of themselves.
Yes.
So in closing, because we are kind of wrapping up, we're a bit over the
That was so quick. Okay.
We're over the time I like to go, but I feel like this is really good. So in closing, could you maybe give a piece of advice as what happens, right? If I'm in a position of leadership and I see that there's an employee or someone who just is deciding, right, they're not going to like a particular team member who's in the queer community, what is the best conflict resolution that we can do there?
Well, we have to let them know that any type of discrimination or stigmatization is not tolerated in the organization. Like I always tell my nurses, you can have whatever view you want to have when you go see these patients, but leave it at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Go and provide unbiased care and pick up your views when you go back out. You know how to do that. So if someone has someone like that in their organization, you just have to let them know, listen, we're not going to try to change your mind. You're entitled to your views. It's not going to have anything to do with your employment. But what you are not entitled to is just to discriminate against this person.
I love
if they know that there are consequences of doing that, they're not going to do it.
So, and I love that because so often the sensitivity of these things teeters into the, you must like this person, you must get, again, we're not here to legislate. If
Hmm.
you can't see eye to eye with that person, that's fine, but leave the shit at the door when you clock in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stand.
That's a better word. We should put that in the language. Leave the shit at the door.
Okay, so essentially, uh, you teach your team how to respect one another, and
Yes.
you set the bar, right? If you set the bar for respect, um, and that's that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is that.
What an awesome! I'm real excited to see what people think. If you guys could leave me a comment and kind of let me know, what, regardless of what side you've been on, if you've been somebody in the queer community that's been discriminated on, I'd love to hear from you. If you're a business who maybe this is the first time you're running into this or you found this helpful, definitely let me know. We will make sure to include information for Shannon. I'll pin it in the comments below. So if you need to reach out to her for any reason or to talk to her more about her consultancy work, definitely do that. As always, thanks for watching. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been wonderful.
You're
Absolutely.
all right. Well, folks, I will see you guys next week. And as always, thanks so much for watching.